Hey, big man thing. Yeah, I'm feeling nice. Yeah, I'm blushing and I'm beside myself. Nah, it's a serious big man thing. Just because you hit play, you just have me feeling all type of special today. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Richard's Rant. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As you know, the morning is the best part of the day. When you have now woken up, nothing has gone wrong, and that is the energy and the vibe and the sentiment that I am wishing to you, regardless of the time of the day that you are listening to me. I am going to name this one Sport because sport is trending on Twitter and social media. Various sporting things are going on, which I just find so fascinating. And because we'll die if we go outside. Not to mention, sport right now during the SOE for us is illegal unless you're on a national team. And the whole fucking Tokyo Olympics gonna start like in 2.5 minutes. But not literally because the Rams don't come out and they. So yeah, let me make that clear. Today is the 11th of June. So no, not literally in 2 minutes, but just now we're gonna start. And I just had a whole moral dilemma because I done a better crime. A guy was playing basketball on the community court by himself with a mask, but that's not the point. The point is he breaking the law and I allowing it, and now I'm a criminal. He's a criminal. We are criminals, and I just I'm a horrible criminal. See, I confess. I'm not confessing to the world. I don't know what to do. I just beside my entire self. But sport is, playing the ass for people entertainment, and the newspaper reports on the ass playing, so to speak, of very influential people, usually politicians, sometimes business conglomerates, that affect those of us that I still think we too are playing the ass because we always put them there, condone it, and clearly we are entertained and amused. We make podcasts like Richard's Rant about it, don't we? So clearly we like this shit. So without further ado, this is what stood out in the newspapers that I read today. It always starts with COVID. I typically ignore it and try not to start a rant with it. But this one stood out that it's 577 COVID deaths that we have had. So it occurred to me that an entire population is suffering various social and economic ills because 577 people died out of 1.4 or 5 million. I like to say 1.1 because the last information that I researched, which was arguably a while ago, was 1.1. But I've also heard people say up to 1.5. And depending on which website you casually go on, I wouldn't call that researching. I'll call that like if I stumble on something, I would say between 1.1 and 1.5. Either way is less than 2 million people, right? So 577 out of 2 million. And I am not in any way negating, downplaying, or trivializing the lives of 577 human beings. Some of them may have done not one shit with their life, but they may have been this shit to somebody in their life, and that is enough. All right? But like I said, if you get 577 answers right on a test of 1.5 million questions, um, or if it is you get tax on $1.5 million to the point where you only get to take home $577, or if it is you inherit $1.5 million and after you done pay or give away or you get robbed, you end up with only $577. But all right, let's just create social, economic hardships, not to mention weird, damaging, unknown social effects on children that had to go through being homeschooled, not homeschooled, drop out of school during this time, and the whole aspect of being home for 2 years now, almost 2 years, and then they'll be expected to be put on a uniform and go to school and sit down on a bench again, as though suddenly that makes sense when it is we know you could literally just send us the schoolwork home, we could do it and go and play. Not to mention with that social, what's the word? Deacclimatization, deconstruct. How is it you're going to get them to want to do that stupid thing that we do, which is wake up in the morning, waste time, energy, and resources getting ready to use time, energy, and resources to get to a building, to sit down, to do work on a computer that is using either internet or intranet or a combination of the both that we could use on any device that could access the internet, but we need to commute through traffic and everything to that place and use unknown resources, not just in terms of the car, the transport, but the clothes we wear in, the makeup, the cosmetics, the material that went into making your lunch kit, the plastic that in your container for food, in work that, the container will eventually mash up a throwaway and then they go and strangle a turtle, some innocent turtle somewhere. But, how are we going to get them to conform to that shit? So maybe we changed the world, but maybe we didn't. Who knows? So 577 people was worthy of this social experiment that may not come to an end, that would have residual circum not circumstances, no consequences in the future. But maybe the consequences will be good. Maybe it will force the world to become more efficient and end a lot of the environmental issues that we have. Yep. So yeah, 577 people changed the world. It's like a mosquito when you're trying to sleep. Seems small, but it's huge. Huge. So while this world changing was going on, we have a bucket of herring used to sell for $60. At the time of doing this recording, it is 50 times more expensive. Yes, you have gotten it right. A bucket of herring is now $300. Now, mind you, this is the wholesale price. I don't think any of us, I know I haven't ever bought a bucket of herring. But that is the wholesale price. So if the wholesale price raised by, that is not 50%. How much percent is that? 500%? 60 by 50. 50 times. I can't work out the percentage. I ain't that good. So let me just say it increased by 50 times in value. But that would be 500%. It wouldn't be 50%. It would be 5, because each time it increase, each time you add 60 is 100% increase. 100 by 50 times you did it would be 500. Look at me. Again, look how smart and thing. So, alright, so yeah, it increased by 500%. Yep. And this is one that is reported, not all the other stuff in the grocery that not reported. Not to mention the stuff that missing from the shelves. But, we digress. Fishermen are essential at this time, right? Apparently, I didn't know this. It seems to be fairly obvious now, but I didn't know that fishermen does work at night, like Batman. They just come out at night, like Jagabats, whatever you want to call them, but they just come out at night. Now, I had this idea because I know that, especially with a full moon, the way that the moon does dance on the sea, no, it's not anything celestial like the moon does call out to the fishes and they just come to pay hum. No, it's just the way the moonlight does dance on the water. The fish just be like, hey, where's that? And bam, now they're in a pot. So, I knew about that, but I didn't really think that they just always go in the night. But apparently there's a thing. So they are essential. But yet still you can't just say, well, I'm a fisherman. No, you gotta have a curfew pass. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't even know who asking them for the pass, because it's not through the water the venue's coming. and nobody could stop them unless they go and spend tens of thousands of dollars on some blasted boat. So who hamburging the fishermen? I don't know. And I'm curious to know because in meanwhile, a Venezuelan fisherman, he didn't recently come like with all the influx. He'd been here before it was fashionable to be here. But he is a Venezuelan national. He is having so much fish that he given away. So I don't fully understand like how he have enough to give away and ours don't. But either way, none of these things would have come up if these 577 people didn't die. And yes, of course, let's say that it's only 577 because of the expert planning and execution and stuff of the Ministry of Health and so forth, right? So let's rally and give them all Shakunia medals. Meanwhile, another side effect is that farmers are being robbed, as to be expected. So when the sun goes down and the fishermen free to go out, the bandits are, and they thieving the farmers' produce. Farmers not supposed to be outside because it's curfew, and I guess whoever enforcing it busy enforcing against men drinking in front of the house during the daytime rather than people taking advantage of the early curfew and getting in a quick robbery before bed. You know? Well, each one is against the law, so priorities, I suppose. Priorities, however it goes. Then I saw this weird article. Can't say anything other than it being weird. A mother of three. Well, all kind of calamity happened to this girl, right? It's one of them usual stories where you just wonder, like after the first child, if you didn't know where babies come from, how you end up with the two others. But so I ain't really gonna go into that. I'm gonna go into the only part of the story, and it was a long article because these articles has been long, and then we reach out and we had bleed, and oh my god, and she living in a house with no electricity and no right. Anyway, so if you want to help the woman, call her. The number is 268-3570. That is 268-3570. However, the only thing that stood out to me is apparently she had complications with baby number three. And apparently, didn't notice I either, that the father has to give consent. I thought the father had a say or the father had to. Well, I guess that is giving consent. Okay, right. I guess I knew, but I didn't know. Just like with the fish. All kind of things I becoming conscious of today. So, the father had to give consent for them to do surgery to Anna cesarean to have the baby. And she said that when they went to ask him, he refused to give the permission and then he disappeared. I didn't think anything of it. I thought he leave the hospital, but no, apparently he leave their lives. So, and his life. No friend, family, or foe, employer knows where he disappeared to. And what that stood out to me is that everybody just content to move on to think that he abandoned his life. Not just the child, but he abandoned his life. I think this poor dude dead somewhere. But, he's a man, so he didn't have no big commission of inquiry. We would not even hear about him if it is we didn't come to have we had bleed for her. With her poor choices, in my opinion. And then also we have the EMTs. They are being paid $25 bonus for each COVID patient that they deliver. I don't know how I feel about that because I don't think it's like a goal you should aspire to. However, ironically, they want more money per patient. But this is where the article actually starts to make sense. And it's because of incompetence. To deliver a COVID person by ambulance and whatnot, they have to have on the full PPE gear. That is the whole hazmat looking suit thing, right? And they're not allowed to take it off. So it's not like if you could, make it sexy, show a little cleavage, pull it down, wear it around your waist. No, you're supposed to be in that. So it hurts, right? It obviously is, and yes, it is. It is hot. It's like you're in a little personal sauna. So they probably have fantastic pores and no acne, but that is not what they're about in their day. They can't take it off, meaning you can't want to pee and put it back on. So it's like I thought my job was bad because I supposed to report when I had a pee, but they just can't do it. It's not even an option for you until you deliver the patient. All right, you're thinking, well, just pick up the patient and drop them. No, you pick up the patient and then you have to call a center of whatever. I refuse to remember the name because that center have to authorize you to send the patient to a particular parallel healthcare facility. And that takes hours because it's government. So you literally sitting down with a person who catching the ass to breathe, that thinking about that and wondering what to do with their life. You yourself might want to pee, or you must be fat in your own hazmat suit and you just kusuming in your own gases for hours while somebody finish eat some sauce, come off lunch, and tell you where they could drop the person. Or let's not be rude, fast and out of place. That person is obviously saving the world one patient at a time. They would have been doing chest compressions on multiple people and they were just caught up and they're now coming back to the calls. Either way, it's inefficient. 577 people. And it is not uncommon for the EMTs to work 12 to 15 hours per day, but their salary is $7,000 to $8,000 per month with the overtime. At least that's the impression I got. But I hope now that I'm reading it over that is the basic salary, but that is not the way the article was written. It said that it is not uncommon for them to work 12 to 15 hours a day with a take home of $7,000 to $8,000. Overtime is paid and you get $25 for each COVID case. So it sounds like the average salary is $7,000 to $8,000 with the overtime and that amount of hours to me. And somehow I think if it is the salary was 10 to 15, they would not have been, in the newspaper. That's just a thought. But if it is your salary with overtime is 7 to 8, that ain't making no damn sense. Yeah? Which would explain their situation. Plus, they have no protection, no assistance other than a hazmat suit from their employers, Ministry of Health, or the private hospitals that they work for. And as such, many of them have contracted COVID and had to do the quarantine and lose income and everything else. They have no health insurance, no loss of income insurance, and no provisions from the employer. Ain't life grand? Ain't life grand? Meanwhile, they have in some committee, I believe the acronym is SFC, that meeting to discuss they getting more money to do the nonsense that they do. And I don't know where the money is coming from because the article didn't say where the money is coming from, because obviously wherever the money is coming from is not really that important. When the government wants money, they obviously just get money. There's a money tree, there's a print tree, there's a central bank, it have a code, they just get money. So nobody really cares to say where the money coming from. But, the opposition doing what the opposition does. So, I'm slowing down too because it actually had a lot of information here and my handwriting got really bad, mainly because I was frustrated with what I was reading. Opposition leader had asked, opposition, not leader, the opposition had asked why it is the Ministry of, as far as Ministry of Legal Affairs, why it is they need their money, why they need extra money. And he talked about how it is they have all these attorney fees and whatnot, right? It's like, but why do you have all these attorney fees? And it's like, well, the total figure is 51 million, and that's for 129 attorneys' legal fees. And I'm thinking, but Why do we? Why do we do? If it's so who employed in the ministry? Not attorneys? Is it clerks? We have a ministry building being rented at a tune of $22 million per month, being rented from the Minister of Legal Affairs himself. So who in that building to the tune of 22 million? Who a month, a month. Who exactly is in that building for $250 million a year? I'm confused. Anyway, what I do know is that Stuart Young hemorrhaged into the government, starting off as an attorney that was working for the government, and his price was $1 million a case. So, anyway, that's probably when he was with a girl who child in jail now for drugs. But anyway, one of the figures that they keep throwing around was 118.9 million. I believe that is how much extra money come get for them, and they're discussing how to divvying it up. Got the impression that that was how much money to divvy up between all the ministries and not just legal affairs, but legal affairs like they want 51 million of it. So that's what the debate was about, right? Um, then it had that a bunch of funds to be allocated for the Children Authority, wherever the third letter in the name mean. And to my disgust, and I hoping is your disgust, actually, no, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. It's 2.9 billion that come fine for them, and 118.9 million want is what Faris want out of it. And out of the 118.9 million, 51 million alone of it is for legal fees. And from the 2.9 billion, the Children Authority wants 16.5 million, right? But 80%, 80%, 80%, 80% of the Children Authority money does actually go towards salaries, not taking care of the children of the state or any kind of thing like that. 80% of it is actually just to pay salaries in that grant. When you have children committing suicide in the facilities, isn't that grant? Anyway, they want to have what they say some camera system monitoring your children and whatnot, and that alone going and cause 30 million. Then we have something named the Strategic Services Agency. I do not know who they are, but apparently it has something to do with police. And they have, wait for it, I need to take a breath. 188 million in reoccurring expenses. Doesn't that sound like a bill that you want to diminish on? Who are they and what are they doing strategically to the tune of 188 million? Besides being an oxymoron, what exactly is strategic about 188 million? We have 1.5 million people in this country. You know, at this point, they could literally just start to give us this money and tell us, pay for everything yourself, everything privatized, government supplies nothing, and done. Because it shouldn't even be the whole population getting, because the 1.5 million include children. So just let us sink in a little bit as to the amount of money we just spend and how much money you just actually get in your pocket. And for it to say that it is because the government's supposed to provide expensive services like healthcare and all of that. But you just think if every year they would divvy up this 60, 70, 80 billion dollars that it is playing the ass with evenly among all adults and then telling you, just pay for your shit. Just think about it. And even the things that you can't literally pay for in its current construct, you don't think that you could get around it? You don't think that if all of us gain money, All of us in the community, somebody can't say, okay, I will go to school and become a teacher and I go teach the community children. And, we call that day and we pay the teacher and whatnot. Or they don't feel we could just come up with solutions like that. We pay the security, so you don't need police again. We don't even need a whole judiciary system because you use the security for the community, and I tell you, is that man around the corner they do it, and I as a witness. Okay, so then we have just a scotch of corruption, but how we're different from what we have now. We have a little CCTV footage. I tell you, I see the man do it. Look him there, look him there. Oh shit, is really him, right? Let me go and beat him. And that is it. No DNA, no Sean Luke, nobody feeding somebody for 15 years while it is we wait for DNA to be processed. I think that more strategic than whoever these people are, you know? And then we have cyber crime prevention, 30 million extra to be spent on that. And meanwhile, the Tobago House of Assembly has $50 million. Tobago House Assembly only job is Tobago, is Tobago. Tobago does not have 1 million people. Tobago might have 100,000 people. Tobago takes $50 million, not in projects, not in development, not in investments, but in expenses. So dismantle THA and give Tobagonians $50 million divided evenly amongst themselves every year. But this money being found while it is people hungry, dying. But this money being found. Yeah. Anyway, we have. I should pause the recording, yes, because anyway, people responded to being vaccinated. So they decided to jump out themselves and they went. So 4,500 got vaccinated yesterday in the papers that, it's from yesterday. So, I'm glad for them. I'm really glad for them. The nurses and them actually work yesterday. They earn the money. I know that some nurses do work, and I know that because I have family and very close friends that are nurses, but they know that most of them don't. So, seems like plenty of them actually work on that day. Many of the people that got vaccinated were construction workers, and I am wondering if they are being bullied or coerced aggressively into this vaccine. Because if without it you can't get work, they kind of took away your choice, which is either to do it or to get a whole new skill set, which isn't practical right now. I do hope that they would have been able to make a decision a little bit educated and not just the financial gains. Because remember, there was this guy that lost his entire livelihood because the boss man told him to do something that he knew that he should not do. And it permanently damaged his elbow and take him all a few years to get money. And all of that, and he has been suffering until this court case and so forth. So I do hope that they are able to make a decision, not just financially, but that's wishful thinking. We all know that that's wishful thinking. CNC3 had a whole news feature discussing the vaccines and the risks and the rumors and the facts and the myths, but it was after the news, and well, I only watch Netflix. So I'm only seeing it now after the fact, but I'll look for it on YouTube, and I think you should as well. Hopefully, it's not a waste of time. It's because CNC3 seems to have an agenda against the government as well. Well, GML. So, maybe it would be worthwhile, maybe it would be independent, and maybe we would all learn something. Yeah. Sticking with the private sector type of, Sagicor is giving out hampers. Kudos to them, well done. And then we have international companies like Xbox. They have developed an entire mental health feature because of COVID and the pandemic. They realized that their users may need to talk, so they partnered with a company to do just that, and also to do it over a text platform because they recognize you mightn't want to use your voice, and more than it being a preference, it might also be a safety thing. Whatever situation you're in, you don't want your voice to travel and people hear you and that kind of thing. So yeah, kudos to them. Amazing, impressive, well done. On the flip side, because there's always a flip side, the opposition wants a probe into the alleged distribution of these hampers, not from Sagicor, but from the government, because the government also says that they are distributing hampers. And it's not like the individual ministers, because like Manning's son, who's the MP for what was Manning's seat in San Fernando, he also distributed hampers along with the community heritage something. So like basically San Fernando Carnival people. So they did that as well, but it's not those that come and crew want an investigation into. They want an investigation into the ones that the whole government want to lay claim to, like the government did this. Apparently, these things had something to do with NAMDEFCO and are a little bit sketchy at it at this point in time because, well, the article is a bit sketchy on them. And maybe that's why Kamala won the probe, because they did ask, like, who get the hampers, who qualify, and these are the same questions I asked. So if they don't know, then who knows? So all that is probably why they won the probe. I just hope they're backing up the wrong tree, because these people had to be particularly dead inside to seriously be stealing money at this time. But we live in a country where a person could be stealing manhole covers for the copper, and the newspaper see it fit to report that a businessman was caught with manhole covers. The Port of Spain company, the Port of Spain, what do you call them? Borough, City Council, whatever it is, they reported that these covers are missing, and they were actually found in the storage facility of the dude, who is a quote unquote businessman. Yep. We also live in a country where COVID survivors are facing scorn when they go back to work, which I'm concerned about because I thought that they were all supposed to be kept confidential. Even from employer, I guess. Well, your employment HR is supposed to be confidential. So, unless it is people just assuming that because you were missing for this amount of time, or you tell somebody, I don't know, but either way, we shouldn't really scorn each other, especially if you're a COVID survivor. Yeah? So, anyway, we also live in a country where there is a waste treatment plant in the middle of a community, which doesn't sound like such a bad idea to me because, well, it should be efficient. I mean, where would the shadow have far to go? And community treatment, I'm even thinking that it should be treated properly, and it should have a community farm land kind of thing. In Haiti, they're doing it, converting human waste into fertilizer, organic fertilizer, correctly. So, they could have been doing that, and you put it in a community garden, and you go to your community market, yeah, and also creating employment in the community itself, and it could even blossom into not a treatment plant, but a food processing, a small food processing economy right there within the community, But I little notice, so all they're doing is literally overflowing shit into the street. And the reason for it is they say that, especially when it rains, the rainwater is getting into the sewage. And I don't understand how that happens because the sewage is not open. Is it? It's not open. So how the solution is that they're going to connect it to a sewage plant in Trent City. And I don't even know how that making sense, but then they say that, that one plant also gonna be decommissioned. Again, I don't know how it making sense. It have new ways in which it is treat shit that you can't just upgrade a plant. I don't think it had any major upgrades to a toilet for the last couple hundred years. It had major upgrades to a plant treatment that you can just use what you have. And if it is you're going to decommission the plant, what gonna happen to the land? It's not like if you could use it for anything else anytime soon. So, what we doing? And how it is these people living with this overflowing shit in the community for so long? You see, these is the kind of things whereby you need to be able to have resources. So you could go in a hotel and sit down, preferably a government owned one like Hyatt, and let it to run its course, and then you properly sue the government and get compensated for all this time and whatnot on your hotel stay. But they deliberately have you living hand to mouth and with limited resources, and only certain people could do these things. The first, when it is you now start to work, you really should spend your first year just investing the money, or even the first 5 years just investing money in secure investments before you branch out on your own, before you quote unquote make yourself an adult or a man or woman, because we can't continue this way. At least I can't. I really can't. Ooh, I'm talking for long today. I hope it have like plenty pauses and stuff. I didn't realize this. Oh, should I do two? No, but nearly done. All the thanks for listening, no? Oh Lord, thanks. I didn't even realize I just sit down here talking to you. Well, enjoying the little company and vibe and thing. I hope you're enjoying it too. Alright, so some Englishman named Robinson make some tweets when he was 18. That was 9 years ago. Some girl break his heart and he went to town. And the cricket board suspended him because they say his tweets was racist and sexist. It was fucking 9 years ago, too. I mean, I could get that he is just around for people entertainment because that is all sport is for. But people would want to watch a racist, sexist pig play cricket. I do understand. Plus, he apologized. Anyway, the Minister of Sport saying, what? I don't think they should suspend the man, but he don't really have a say. But why it is, I know, I feel like somebody have an agenda. Who even find these tweets from 9 years ago? I feel he wronged the wrong person. But still though, well then this person probably have means to blackmail and shit. So he really wronged the wrong person. He crossed the wrong person. I feel so. Lastly, speaking about having power and whatnot and a little bit of control over your destiny and things that you might think don't concern you, apparently, if it is you are fed up of the shit that you see in the media, on radio, all the green verbs, all the weirdness, the poor music, and all of that, you can actually call TAT at 6758288 and they will provide a resolution. They had 3-page articles/ads talking about all the issues that they resolved, and that is their mandate, and they're inviting you to call them. So we have a say. There is a way. The reality is that we have a say in terms of our collective power to do something and our freedom in a democracy to increase on what our individual power is. It just takes some time, some work, and some willpower. And I hope that podcasts like this helps give you the willpower so that to get more. So we will demand more and things will be better for all of us. Well, Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the vibe and comment towards our betterment. Vibes. If it is background noise was in this one, like rooster, dog, neighbor talking, then let's just call them our sponsors. And thank you for adding to the authenticity of the rant. To the neighbor talking, to the rooster, to the children in the background, we thank you for your support and your sponsorship during this edition of the rant. You have added to the entertainment, and we could not have had that level of authenticity without you. Alright, guys, that's it for me today. Have a great rest of your day. Subscribe to the vibe and comment towards our betterment. Vibes.